What's up, Internet? My name is Tom, and today I wanted to share with you a build that I discovered that's great for early game. And I say early game because it essentially works up until a certain point, and then it still works, but then you kind of want to pair it with something else, which is going to be completely up to you what direction you want to go. But if you want to get off that first island really fast, you might want to check this build out. So, I knew that I wanted to play a summoner, right? So I come to the Wikipedia to figure out what I want to pair the summoner with. If you look right here where it says scale, and this is true for every class, these are all the summoner abilities, but right here it says scale. And I assumed that most summoner abilities scaled in intelligence because that would just make sense, right? So I go down here and I start to notice a lot of these things in A. The stats of the summons will depend on caster level and summoning ability. I thought that was interesting. I kept going down. Here's an intelligence move, and this is a dimensional bolt. Shoot a volatile bolt that deals X of a random type and then creates a corresponding surface, which X depends on your intelligence level. Okay, so that helps with like totems, because when you put a totem down on an element, it becomes that element, and the same goes for your incarnate, which is the most important thing in this build. But then you keep going down, and again, you see more NAs all the way down, right? So one of the things about making your own class, essentially, is you got to figure out what works with what, and you have to split your stats accordingly, right? You usually have two classes that you fuse together, and you got to figure out how to allocate those points. So I had an idea. So let's come over here and let's see. Let me share that idea with you. All right, so here we are. Now, the first step is, I guess, you got to decide if you want to build an intelligence or not. But we're just gonna assume that you don't. We're gonna put as much power as we possibly can into summoning, and the best way to do that is to start with a lizard. And I'll tell you why, because you need an elemental to create a certain type of incarnate or totem, which is essentially what this build revolves around. And without scaling an intelligence, you're not gonna have much of that. Granted, in Divinity, there's generally always gonna be some kind of elemental on the ground. However, if you start with the lizard, you automatically get this move here, Dragon's Blaze. Breathes flames in a cone, dealing 4 to 5 fire damage and leaving fire surface behind. Now, we're not going to use Dragon's Blaze as an attack, but we're going to use it to set up the battlefield. All right, so let's start with Summoner, obviously. Now, some people might opt to start with the Wizard build and change it so you can go dual wield wands. The way I like to build, I like to give him a shield, just so he has more survivability. All right, so right here, we've still got the dimensional bolt in here. You can keep it, but I like to not keep it. I like to add Farsight Infusion. And then here, we've got Intelligence and Constitution. And take that out of Intelligence. Now, granted, with a lot of armor, you're gonna need Intelligence, Strength, or Finesse. So you're gonna want to allocate at least 2 points into one of the two, right? I like to do that at the start of the game, but you kind of have to decide where you're going for that. So I'm gonna assume you don't know yet. One thing you do want to do though is come over here to your talents first, which I almost forgot, and you're gonna want to go Lone Wolf. Now with Lone Wolf, let's read this. It provides +2 AP, +2 recovery AP, 30% vitality, 30% physical armor, 30% magic, and double invested points in attributes and combat abilities. And that's the big thing right here. However, this bonus is temporarily removed while there are more than 2 members in the current party. So therefore, you can only go with 2 people. You can't have your 4-man party. You can't have a 3-man party. You can do 2 or 1, which is fine, really. With Lone Wolf, it's amazing. So we're gonna start with Lone Wolf. Now, if you come over here and take all our points away, you'll notice something. When I add 1, it adds 2. So I like to put a lot in Constitution, and then I also like to, from time to time, build in Wits here, just to make sure my initiative is high, so I can always go first. So we're gonna start like that. And then here, you do whatever you want, but what I recommend is building really high in Lucky Charm, because you want to get that good gear. Now, you need Lore Master to identify it most of the time, but we can balance the two, or there's another neat trick. If you want to do it, you can put all your points into Lucky Charm, and then when you get off the island and you get on the ship, there's a mirror where you can change your attributes and abilities, and you can keep Lucky Charm maxed out while you're on the field and go back there to identify your items by taking the points out of Lucky Charm, putting them in lore, and then swapping them back after they're identified and going back. It's a lot of work, but if you want to really min-max and get the best gear possible, that's the best option. What I like to do is balance the two, Lucky Charm and Lore Master, so I can do it all right there. But it's not the most optimal way to get good gear, so I'll leave that one up to you guys. All right, now just to show you guys a little bit of combat. Now see, right off the bat, we've already got an elemental on the field. Doesn't always happen, but it happens a lot. Now, the cool thing about Dragon's Blaze as opposed to Dimensional Bolt is Dimensional Bolt takes 2 action points to use, whereas Dragon's Blaze only takes 1 action point. We're gonna throw out some fire. Let's just assume that this poison isn't here, even though the fire is gonna extend on the poison. But let's just assume it's not there. And what we want to do is throw this out, and then we're gonna throw out our little tank. We'll throw them as close to these guys as we can. Now with the Incarnate, you don't want to put them like right there because there's no elemental. You want to put them in the fire, and you'll see why in a minute. Because he becomes the fire. And then another thing you can do is just throw out some totems to increase your defense here. And if you've got any points left over, you can go ahead and give him a ranged attack in case he needs it. Now eventually you can get different types, like you can get like rogue moves and warrior moves for the Incarnate, which is great. And now you see here he's got, when he attacks, he's gonna do fire damage. And he's also got this fireball. And you don't have to worry about using it on him because he is fire. So he also gets, one of my favorite things about him is his attack of opportunity, and his initiative is just insane. As you can see, I'm going again already. And that's it. Just to show you guys a little bit of what becomes of them, I'm gonna go ahead and load an old game. Now on this build, I didn't go with a lizard. I didn't have the idea at the time, but then it hit me about the Dragon's Blaze because my partner here was playing a lizard. And I just thought, you know, there's no need for intelligence if I do that. Now this build is the aftermath of the summoner build, because I built the summoner all the way up, and then I started building in warfare because I just like to be in the fight with my Incarnate, change things around a bit. But I just want to show you guys what the Incarnate becomes because it's incredible. I went, like I said, warfare for fun. I just recently switched. But once you get summoning up to, I think, 10, you get this incredibly large Incarnate. This is him right here. Check that guy out. Now, this is just a plain incarnate. Now, I don't have the fire, but another option if you want to build 1 point, or 2 if you're using Lone Wolf, into Pyro, is to eventually craft this move right here that just automatically makes him fire. And that also only takes 1 action point. And then generally, yeah, the incarnate, his initiative is insane. He's pretty much always 100% of the time next in the fight. And you can spend all the rest of your points pumping up your incarnate. And then just watch him do massive amounts of damage. Massive amounts for early game, of course. And that attack of opportunity, there it is. All right, guys. I just wanted to share that build with you because I think it's incredible. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you smash that like button. And definitely subscribe for more content. I'll catch you guys later.